Shamanov, so he leaves Colonel Vernov and chases the killer, who is making an attempt to get away. The killer is on his bike, however Shaman is on his feet still. He effectively chases the killer and takes revenge on his friend, but the police come there in the period in between and that they need to arrest Shaman for this homicide. However, Shaman has loads of factors to get, so he ditches the police and flees from that vicinity. After that, Shaman alone is going to satisfy the humans and additionally kills them while he receives suspicious that they are at the aspect of the smugglers. He additionally receives their automobile with fashion and drives off. In the period in between, Nastia has reached a few unknown vicinity. When she opens her eyes, she is mendacity on a desk as she is being experimented. She sees gangsters and kooky medical doctors surrounding her. It seems like a mystery lab in which she is. They inform her that it's her new lifestyles from that day and he or she must neglect about her preceding lifestyles. However, she laughs at them and says that all of them will die quickly. She is assured that Shamanov will discover her at all fees and that day will be the last day of those criminals. On the opposite hand, Shamanov is going to the prosecution officer, who tells him that Vilasov has been launched via way of means of the police. After common inquiries, it indicates that the police are additionally worried with the smugglers. The prosecution officer advises Shamanov to go away the town as quickly as possible due to the fact now he's assassin and may be stuck any time via way of means of the police. Also, it has emerged as very risky to pursue this venture. The criminals worried in this smuggling commercial enterprise have a big private military who are prepared to kill all of us who comes of their route. That's why the prosecution officer may be very scared, but Shaman isn't always prepared to depart. Now he has to discover his love Nastia first. He receives the call of a goal from the prosecution officer, who can take Shamanov once more to Vilasov. Soon he reaches his goal and ambushes him from in the back of his vehicle. Shamanov forces him to name Vilasov and asks in which he's gift on the time. At first the goal would not observe this order, but then Shamanov shoots him in his hand and makes him name Vilasov, whose gift on the export middle of those smugglers. So Shaman makes this guy force to the middle in which export sports are going on, but the middle is complete of armed men who are prepared to kill any intruder at first sight. But still Shaman doesn't get concerned and he makes use of the person's access card to get in. Vlo is getting first aid remedy at that vicinity. Meanwhile, Donner talks to Nastia and tells her that she will by no means be stored from the vicinity we're in. She is, so she have to go away. The desire it is higher for her now to cooperate with them. Hearing this, Nastia pretends to recognize the whole lot and asks him to get a few water, and while he turns, Nastia attempts to kill him together along with her mystery weapon, but Donner isn't an avenue bully. He is a skilled protection employee. He receives the concept of the assault and retaliates with a tough punch at the face of Nastia, which makes her fall to the floor and bleeding from the nostril. On the opposite hand, Shamanov has reached the middle wherein Vlo is gift. He makes the person live in the trunk of the auto and he himself goes internal, asking approximately Vlo. There are masses of fellows all around with weapons in their palms. It looks as if the training middle of a non-public military. There are many bins of ammunition being transported from one vicinity to some other and many guards guard the vicinity. Shamanov attempts to locate Vloof, however cannot locate him. Everywhere he asks the guys approximately Vilasov, however receives the solution that Vlo has simply left after his remedy. So now the only manner left at the back of to locate Vlov is to initiate a battle towards a majority of these guys so that you can pressure Vlov to show himself. So he begins evolved killing human beings brazenly. He receives grenades and weapons from one and all the assassins and makes use of their personal ammunition towards them. Just then Vilo is also noticed going someplace. Shamanov takes a gun and begins evolved taking pictures at him. Many guys come to kill Shamanov, however he eliminates they all separately. He makes use of gun after gun of all of the sorts he reveals in front of him to kill the assassins. No one succeeds in dodging his bullet, however now no longer an unmarried bullet of the alternative crew could hit Shamanov. Then he enters a large storehouse vicinity wherein once more the non-public military employees acquire all round simply to end one veteran soldier, but once more they fail with inside the method. Shamanov faces they all separately and kills them unmarried handedly. He then captures Vilasov and makes him fall from a peak. He asks him approximately the new area of the smugglers and the vicinity wherein they are able to preserve. Nastiavlo offers the coordinates of this new area and asks Shamanov to locate it himself as he is an undercover agent. Then Shamanov kills him by stabbing him with a pointed item in the chest as he's not needed. After that Shamanov takes the automobile and drives away, however he's being chased through a lot of cars. He kills the extra guys come at the back of him, but he's now no longer the person who receives worn out, so he stops his vehicle with inside the center of the city and once more begins evolved killing his pursuers. He continues killing till nobody is left at the back of on the alternative hand. Nastian unearths herself with a few different human beings in a closed bunker. She talks with the ones human beings and unearths out that they're now no longer hostages there. Some of the human beings were gift there for extra than 5 years. Also those smugglers aren't at the back of cash. Suspicions are that they're checking out a few new capsules on those abducted human beings. All the human beings of one-of-a-kind Awilan genders were abducted from one-of-a-kind locations. For this motive also Nasia goes to be a test difficulty. Now the human beings say that whoever attempts to face an opposition to those criminals is killed immediately, so but there's no way to get out of this hell. In the meantime, Shaimanov once more meets the prosecution officer and makes him discover the area advised through Velas off the usage of the coordinates. The prosecution officer unearths the area, however it smiles at an abandoned island surrounded through ice and water from all around. No, you can still input the island as there's one access and the smugglers gang is shielding that access. Also no, you can still visit it through water because the water could be very bloodless, and if anyone attempts to go it he'll die of the extreme bloodless temperature. The prosecution officer asks Shaimang to go away the idea of the assault on those smugglers on the time, whilst Colonel Vernov is likewise now no longer gift for his assist, but we realize that Shaimang is the person that might fear such situations. The scene shifts to Colonel Vernov, who's nevertheless unconscious on the neighborhood sanatorium. A police officer is gift there who additionally seems to be on the impact of a few capsules. He is waiting for Colonel to return back to his senses in order that he can do his personal investigations, but the physician says that his sanatorium is a normal one and there's no neurosurgeon right here. The affected person wishes to be shifted to the military sanatorium, but the police officer ignores his request as he is aware of that if the colonel receives to the military sanatorium, the police will now no longer have any authority over him. Soon a younger lady physician visits the sanatorium claiming to be a neurosurgeon. She says that she is on name for a checkup of Colonel Varonov, so the nurse we could hear visit the sufferer's room. However, she is found out to be a murderer dispatched through the smugglers gang to kill Colonel Voronov as she is approximately to inject a few pollutants into the device of Colonel. A younger medical doctor comes there and forestalls her. Soon the prosecution officer hears approximately her presence and runs closer to the colonel's room, but earlier than he can attain it, the girl jumps from the window and escapes. The old prosecution officer additionally jumps in order to seize the murderer, however in doing this he receives himself injured. Also he cannot get the attacker too. After a few time the girl medical doctor continues to be amongst them, being overlooked as no person recollects her face. However, she has failed in doing her task because of the presence of protection in the room of Colonel. The scene shifts to Donner and his boss, who's happy that Shaimanov cannot attain their new location till he receives a chopper that's very not going for him, as he's a wanted man or woman via way of means of the police too. In the meantime, a person with inside the bunker of Nastia attempts to initiate anybody to combat in opposition to the criminals who've made them hostages. However, quickly guards and the eccentric medical doctor come in and kill the guy in the front of anybody. This lowers anybody's morale even more, specifically while status up for their rights. The medical doctor is an English guy and he's the maximum heartless man or woman they have ever visible of their lives. Still he talks very with courtesy to anybody and acts like he cares for those hostages. Meanwhile, Shaimanov is getting geared up to attain the island. He wears the swimming in shape with unique thermal evidence inners to maintain his frame heat with inside the icy streams. He additionally has an oxygen cylinder with him. He is making plans to go the water via way of means of swimming, as there may be none different option higher than this. Donner and his boss are tracking the entire constructing via CCTV. They are gift at stage 5 of the constructing and happy that Shaimanov can in no way breach, so 5 degrees of protection are guarded via way of means of armed guys and protection locked doorways. But Shaimanov has already reached the constructing via the icy water. He is shivering with bloodless even though he's sporting the thermal evidence internal. Once he receives out of the water, he injects himself with a few injections to stabilize his frame. He waits for a while, after which begins evolved his task. The female full healthcare professional that we noticed in advance trying to kill Vernov is now gift right here in the constructing. She is in a relationship with the psychomedical doctor and additionally helps him in his studies. She is likewise fond of acting. This time she is going to Nastia in her bunker and pretends to be her savior. She takes her out of that bunker via way of means of announcing that she can be able to get her out of this jail. However, rather she takes him to that psychophysician who desires to take a look at a few drug on her. Nastia is an appropriate challenge for them as she is younger and has never smoked something. She is likewise fearless and now no longer fearful of her occasions, which makes her once more a capacity challenge of the studies. The psychophysician makes her lie at the desk and binds her fingers as he goes to function on her now, but then he hits in concept. He now desires to play a recreation together along with her. That's why he gives Nastia a scalpel and asks to fight, taking the possibility. Nastia attacks the physician, however he dodges and attacks again with a difficult punch. He hits her once more and once more. Nastia is aware of a few techniques taught via way of means of Shaimanov. She makes use of them at the physician, however they're now no longer sufficient to shock her. She even throws a drink with inside the face of the physician, which makes him more infuriated, so the physician dominates the woman and beats her till she becomes subconscious. On the alternative hand, Shaimang has began out attacking the guards. He beats one and all them and is aware of approximately the safety degree of the constructing. He accumulates the grenades and then explodes the complete rooms of the guards one after some other. The psychophysician is approximately to kill Nastia while all at once Donner comes there and prevents him. He says that this woman may be used in opposition to their enemy Shaimanov. Just then the sirens blow caution, approximately the capacity intruder in the constructing, so Donner runs off to see what's occurring. He prepares a crew of armed guys and sends them to kill Shaimanov. In any respect charges Donner himself is together along with his his boss, and they're looking to complete issue via CCTV. Even as staying at degree 5, Shamanov is excellent at strategic fight killing. He has many thoughts in his thoughts, approximately a way to make his cash pass over the goal, and then all at once Shamanov comes from at the back of and kills the assassins. He makes use of all of his years of enjoying killing and combating those masses of guards. He is wearing simply one bulletproof jacket and nothing else to shop his lifestyles from the guards. Still he's untouchable and is killing humans like one cuts the veggies. One of the guys subdues Shamang and makes him take a seat down on his knees. Donner and the boss see the scene and order the shield to make the enemy subconscious, but as soon as he steps in advance to hit the top of Shamang, he receives killed via way of means of our hero in a flicker. Nastia has reached her bunker once more, and the woman medical doctor is coming there once more. This time she has a wound mark on her face and he or she is acting betrayed via way of means of her love. She tells Nastia that she desires to get out of this constructing as she has nobody left at the back of, but Nastia is aware of that she is playing once more together along with her. The medical doctor even starts sweeping in the front of Nastia to show her loyalty, so Nastia comes together along with her once more. However, this time she is extra conscious. Shamang has breached tiers and 3 of protection. He has now reached the lab of that psycho-medical doctor and shoots at him. At his first sight in the lab he saw a whole lot of blood and bins. Looks like the medical doctor smuggles the frame elements of humans. He is a psycho-medical doctor, or even after getting hit via way of means of a bullet he is making bizarre faces in the front of Shymanov. Just then the power is going off and the medical doctor takes the possibility. He stands up once more and takes a scalpel in his hand to kill Shymanov, but our hero is faster than the psycho. He hides himself someplace. Soon the armed guys come there and flash a mild on Shymanov's face. Seeing him, all of them open fires, but Shymanov quick slides to a facet, and at the back of him is the psycho-medical doctor, who receives all of the bullets of his personal guys into his chest. When the medical doctor is useless, Shymanov makes use of his gun to kill all of the guards. Meanwhile, the girl medical doctor takes Nastia to the basement, and there she starts displaying her actual face again. She desires to play a sport with Nastia now, but this time Nastia is extra vigilant and careful. Shymanov soon later confront Donner, who proves to be a touch bit difficult to be defeated, so Shymanov takes the get admission to card and quick flees at the back of the locked door. The usage of that card whilst he sees that extra guys are coming for the assist of Donner. The door is massive and cannot be opened in any respect without the get admission to card, so Donner orders to ruin the door with explosives. In the intervening time, Nastia is faced via way of means of that girl medical doctor. She has a gun in her hand, however she would not need to use it in Nastia. She desires to discover it in her arms. She gathers all her strength and assaults Nastia. However, Nastia dodges the assault and the girl medical doctor hits a pointed steel avenue that pierces through her frame. She dies instantaneous. However, she has a smirk on her face even in her last moments. After that, Shymanov kills extra guys and will become reunited together along with his love of lifestyle. She tells him there are numerous hostages with inside the constructing that are getting used as check topics, so both fanatics pass and unfastened all the hostages from their cells. The squad crew members also are there. Shamang courses all of them out of doors. The cave constructing Donner is nevertheless busy exploding that heavy door, so Shamang fingers over a few weapons to the hostages and asks them now no longer to shoot till it's very essential. He courses them at the getaway direction to a village where they may locate a few assist. However, he forbids them from going to the police. The military individual says that his legs are paralyzed, however he can shoot together along with his fingers. He asks others to move and he's going to continue to be behind to kill everybody who follows their steps. Shymanov additionally is of the same opinion to this plan. Now Shymanov is going to go out of the island to kill the guards gift there. Also there's a ship that may be used to go the water movement outside. Shymanov is assisting humans to get away the island even as inner Donner is making plans to call for assist from a few quite expert assassins that are his final move towards Shamang. These assassins are luxurious, however they could get the paintings done in any respect value just because the hostages get into the boat. The armed guys come there as they have got effectively damaged the heavy door. They begin capturing at this keys and it's miles getting difficult for the hostages to escape. There is a system on the boat that Shamang makes use of to kill the guards. He then fingers over the system gun to Nastia and in my view is going closer to the cave constructing to break the smugglers. Absolutely, the military man sacrifices his lifestyles even as preventing, and Nastia does an extremely good process removing many criminals. Finally Shamang bids farewell to Nastia and the opposite hostages. He returns to the smugglers and sends different humans to the closest village. After crossing the water movement on the opposite hand, the maximum awaited crew of expert assassins has reached there. Donner is worked up to satisfy them, however the assassins seem like a crew of jokers who paintings with inside a circus. One of them constantly performs together along with his belt and the different looks as if a Hulk with inside the trousers. Even a lady is at the crew. The fourth one could be very clumsy and worrying. He needs to look the cash first and then begin the project. The guys of Donner whinge that those humans do not look like assassins, however Donner nevertheless has faith in them. He says that the clumsy one is the talented and is the sharpest assassin of all the assassins. Then get the weapons in their preference and do a little training classes there. They are becoming equipped to pass into the woods and kill Shamanov. Nastia and different escapees are on foot via the mountains to attain the nearest town. Because of the hours of on foot they sense very hungry, however they can't use their weapons to kill a rabbit as its sound can prompt the sleeping cells of smugglers within inside the woods. However, one of the escapees is cussed and constantly reprimands Nastia for not letting him use the gun. He says that they'll starve to loss of life earlier than the smugglers might kill them. He even tries to combat with Nastia, however others separate each of them. Soon the assassins have reached the woods alongside the guys of the smugglers. Quickly they spread at some point of the complete vicinity and started combating their enemy. Each step with inside the woods brings them close to their loss of life due to the fact Shamanov feels that domestic with inside the woods. He is aware of a way to mixture with the soil with inside the timber. To his success, the team of assassins begins evolved killing their own individuals first. Everyone is grasping and desires all of the cash for themselves, so they begin killing their competition, and Shamanov is likewise killing them. The girl murderer has an arch and he or she makes use of it on the hook murderer. Through the hook is far more in electricity he receives killed via way of means of a girl. She makes use of a knife to do multiple stabs on his lower back, after which places a bullet into his head. In the interim, Shamanov hides himself with inside the tree leaves and waits for his subsequent goal. As quickly as a crook walks above him, he kills that guy in no time. Maximum of the assassins and the criminals have been killed via way of means of him. Those who were left at the back of are becoming killed via way of means of every different back with inside the cave building. Donner betrays his boss and kills him for getting all of the cash from the smuggling. Then he receives on a bike and heads closer to the woods as he desires to end Shamanov via way of means of himself. On the alternative hand, the hungry guy from the escapees organization cannot continue to be silent anymore. He takes the gun and is going to seek for something to devour. After a while he returns with the rabbit, however Nastia is proper. The sound of the bullet is heard via way of means of the guys of Donner, and now they're heading closer to the organization as the hungry guy has prioritized his starvation over the protection of the organization. Nastia kills him, then Shamanov kills the lady murderer. Soon the clumsy murderer reaches there and indicates his talents while the armed guys come close to him. He is the handiest survivor now, and through searching at his talents it looks as if he can without a doubt give Shamanov a hard time. After killing the closing guy with inside the organization, the clumsy murderer is going to Shamanov, who is sitting peacefully on a cliff there. He doesn't even hassle to harm Shamanov. Instead he offers his very own gun to Shamanov, saying that it is a terrific one. He informs that all the guys who had come for his demise are lifeless now. It looks as if they each realize every different later. While Donner calls this murderer to realize the popularity of the venture, it smiles found out that this murderer is surely the brother of Shamang. Donner is amazed, and now he himself has reached the woods to kill Shamanov. His guys are nonetheless trailing the escapees who've located the village. These escapees get safe haven in that village and await assist, but Nastia is abducted from there on Donner's orders. Shamanov with inside the interim has reached again to the cave, constructing to eliminate the whole thing. The businessman who turned into shopping the smuggled matters turned into there on the time. Shamanov pulls the pin of a grenade and arms it over to that guy, which kills him in the long run. Shamanov gets a name from Donner, who has again abducted Nastia and is now calling him to fulfill at an area. When Shamanov reaches to that area, Donner runs closer to him for a one-on-one combat. However, Shamanov shoots him together along with his gun and ends the tale. He reunites with Nastia finally.